Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. My name is Mr. G. I am your student meteorologist. I attend Mississippi State University, majoring in meteorology and geophysics. And we are going to be talking about the weather forecast across the country today as we could get you ready to go back to work. It is your Monday, so happy Monday, everybody. We're going to be getting you ready for the week ahead and talk about what we're going to be experiencing out there as far as significant weather events is concerned. If I don't talk about your area in particular, that means your weather is fine. Nothing of note to worry about this week. And you're going to be okay. But if I'm covering your area, you may be dealing with some wet weather, some severe weather. It might be hot or a little bit cooler than average. So we're going to be dealing with it like that. So let's move on with the weather forecast. Oh, but before we do, let's talk about our city of the day. We're looking at Jacksonville Beach out here where we have a beautiful day on tap, at least for the first half of the day. We're looking at beautiful clear skies, just some high wispy cirrus clouds out there, and we have a beautiful beach and a beautiful ocean out there with the Atlantic and those emerald green colors of the Atlantic. I really love. It's not as dark as the Pacific is because the Pacific waters off of California and the Pacific Northwest are much colder, so it's darker water. But here we have that lighter color in the water because this is where the Gulf Stream current runs parallel with the Atlantic seaboard and is bringing those warm tropical waters from the Caribbean and the Central Atlantic along the eastern seaboard, so you can see that beautiful color out there. So let's move on and talk about the forecast for the rest of the lower 48. Okay, so as we talk about the forecast for the rest of the country, let's go back to the tropics and talk about what we're seeing there, because this could affect some folks along the eastern coast. So we have Tropical Storm Felipe right now, which is our latest tropical system that we're tracking at this time, and Felipe is just to the northeast, to the east of the Leeward Islands and the Caribbean, out there over the open waters of the Atlantic right now, tracking its way to the west northwest here, and eventually it's going to make its turn to the north and northeast and head up over the North Atlantic. I don't think this system is going to directly affect the U.S. mainland, but it could increase the swells and maybe get close enough to some clouds, and rain showers might affect the East Coast, but I don't think it's going to make a direct hit on the U.S. I think it's going to stay mostly out to sea. But here is the tracking for the week, what we expect to see as far as the behavior from Tropical Storm Felipe. And that Bermuda high is going to play a huge role in why Felipe won't make direct impact on the U.S. mainland, because by the time we get to Wednesday, did it skip Tuesday? Okay, so we go from Monday to Wednesday. All right, so we skip Tuesday. So Wednesday is here. The Bermuda high is going to retrograde or shift to the east, and that is going to allow Felipe to begin to make its turn toward the north a little bit further out to sea than Ophelia did. Of course, Ophelia originated in a different area, but it's going to make that turn to the north and northeast on Thursday, and on Friday we're going to continue to see that northerly turn. We see it's pretty far away from any landmass right now, so that's going to mostly affect Bermuda and folks out in over the open water shipping interests, maybe some cruise liners and things like that. So here is the Tropical Storm Felipe 5 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time update. So this is the most recent. It's about 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time right now, and Felipe is out over the open Atlantic and is currently packing winds of about 50 miles an hour, and we don't expect it to increase too much before getting to next Saturday, where we can see winds at 65 miles per hour. So this may not become a hurricane like the last hurricanes that developed in this area and formed to become a major hurricane. So we're not going to quite see the same action from Felipe. All right, so we got some very warm waters down here over the Caribbean and over the Central Atlantic, where we're seeing those water temperatures in excess of 90 degrees in some areas. So we got a lot of warm water in play, but we have a lot of wind shear right now. So Felipe won't get to enjoy the benefits of all that warm water as far as being able to organize itself and further strengthen. It's going to be sheared apart by a lot of the wind shear by weather systems to the north moving off of the eastern U.S. coast. So in Texas last night, we had some big thunderstorms across central Texas that dropped very large hail around the Austin area and again in the Dallas area. So we saw that very large hail. Look at some of the damage from those hailstorms. Now in this Texas and Oklahoma does hail a bit different than most other places. And Texas and Oklahoma typically can drop those large baseball and softball size hail, and you definitely saw that across the Austin and South Dallas area last night with those very large hailstorms from an area of severe weather that went through. Look how big some of these hailstones are. Some of these things are the size of baseballs sitting down there. So very large hail again, lots of damage from power outage as well. A lot of insurance claims being filed today for vehicles with the windows smashed out, and it even damaged some roofs and things to houses. So a very a bad situation across Texas last night with some of that severe weather. Now in the Pacific Northwest, we got some wet weather to talk about. Well, we have our atmospheric river, and this cold front here is tapping in to some subtropical moisture from the central Pacific, and that moisture is being funneled all the way across the ocean into the western coast of the United States, and it's coming into Northern California and through the Pacific Northwest. And we have this big area of low pressure out there over the Aleutian Islands that is called an Aleutian Low, and that is out there south in the Bay of Alaska, south of Juneau and the Aleutian Islands, Seward, Alaska, Ketchikan, and things like that. So this big area of low pressure is sending a lot of rainfall into British Columbia. So Vancouver, Victoria, areas in Western Canada is going to see a lot of rainfall from this system. And we're going to be looking at 1 to 2 inches of rainfall through Thursday, and much as 2 to 3 inches we see up there in Forks. Again, 2 to 3 inches of rain in Seattle as well, of course. But a little bit lower rainfall amounts further to the south. So south of Portland, so Medford and Redding, California, will pick up less than an inch of rain. But we're going to be looking at 1 to 2 inches around the Portland area and as much as 3 inches in Seattle. So a very wet week across the Pacific Northwest. Wet weather again across the state of Florida. So Monday, we're going to see those storms start to move up from the south. And right now, you're looking at a beautiful day across the North Florida, Jacksonville Beach. Nice sunny weather. Only high cirrus clouds. But later today, we're going to see those clouds fill in and some of that heavy rain. Those tropical downpours are going to overtake your area today. So you're going to be seeing heavy rain Monday. We're going to see heavy rain across the state on Tuesday. A little bit less rain on Tuesday. More offshore, a lot of these rain showers. But if you look at the mainland, the models are indicating more showers along the coast. But the interior, the Everglades there in Florida, will see a fairly dry day for Tuesday. But those showers pick up in intensity and coverage on Wednesday, and we're going to see a tropical development, maybe a tropical wave moving through the area, and a kind of a hybrid tropical system. We could see a tropical low pressure development, but it won't be any tropical storm. It's going to be more of an extra tropical low center, mid-level low pressure off the coast of Florida and the southeast U.S., but that's going to be helping to produce a lot of heavy rainfall, especially along the east coast of Florida, from Daytona Beach, Jacksonville, down to Miami. But then over western Florida, we have a lot of energy over the Gulf of Mexico that can help to produce a lot of rainfall over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico up to the Florida coastline. So Fort Myers, Naples, and Tampa, you can see some rain showers and thunderstorms as well. And then on Thursday, look at that. The entire state just gets inundated by those heavy rains from Tallahassee all the way down to Key West. So a very wet day, a very wet week is on tap for the state of Florida. You guys have had a rainfall deficit, so this rainfall will be very beneficial. The only bad part is going to be kind of a lot of rain coming in very fast, and we can see how much of it can soak in. Again, more heavy rain on Friday across the state of Florida. So very wet week, work week on tap for you guys. And this is some of the rainfall forecast for this week. Many of you picking as much as 2 to 3 inches from Jacksonville down to Miami, over to Tampa, and over into northern Florida, the Panhandle. So we're going to see up to 2 to 3 inches of wet weather across the state of Florida, the Sunshine State, getting soaked today. And this week not being very sunshiny there this week, is it? But now the rest of the country. Now, as we talk about the central and the western half of the U.S., we're going to be looking at temperatures below average in the west, but getting warmer than average across the Midwest. We're going to see temperatures in the 70s across the northern plains. We're going to still see those 90s and even triple digits down as far south, down south into Texas. So it's still going to be kind of warm out there. So as we move into your Wednesday, seeing those temperatures in the upper 70s across the upper Midwest, those temperatures in the 50s and 60s across the Pacific Northwest, going to get cooler out there, and we're going to still see it pretty warm across the Central Rockies and the Southern Plains and into the upper plains, the upper Midwest. So if you're in Minnesota and the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, we're going to see those temperatures start to flirt with the 80s. We're going to see those 80s through the Central Plains, and in the upper Midwest, you're going to see those temperatures in the upper 70s. We're going to see some 80s there as well. But again, check out those 50s going to continue in the Pacific Northwest. And then as we get into Friday as well, we're going to see those 90s moving to Iowa. Look at the Iowa 90s moving up into the Central Plains right here. We're going to see those temperatures approach 90s. Those upper 80s there across Colorado, and look at those 90s and 90s across Oklahoma and Texas. So that high pressure is still in control, and it's still really warm out there across the central U.S. Pretty seasonal across the southwest, but very chilly across the northwest and the Intermountain West of the U.S. Very chilly. Very nice there across the Salt Lake City, 77 degrees for your high on Friday. So still warm across the Rockies, the Central Rockies at least, but cool across the Northern Rockies and the Northwest into the Washington and Oregon. So very fall weather out towards the west, but still a little summerish across the plains and the Midwest. So that is a look at your weather forecast for this week. My name is Mr. G, your meteorologist. Thank you for watching me this morning as we get you ready and get you a little bit of something for your week ahead. I'll try to do a video maybe on Wednesday, so we'll be back then Wednesday evening, guys. Thank you.